MercyMe started in '94, about 8 years ago. The mission statement for MercyMe is to usher anyone who's willing to follow to the throne room of Christ through worship.
Bart, the lead singer's youth minister, moved from Texas to Florida to be my youth minister. And Bart, not long after that, his father had passed away, and he moved to be the intern in the youth group and started singing in the praise band. I was taking guitar lessons from the guitar player who left, so I filled in for him. And Bart and I started becoming friends, writing songs together. So we actually, before MercyMe was MercyMe, were in a band together. And then Bart started working with All Star Ministries, a group out of Tulsa, where he met Jim, our keyboard player. And he had gone on a mission trip to Switzerland with All Star to do a camp for military missionary kids. And he came back and had really felt a calling from God to do it full time, because we'd kind of joked around about doing a band full time. And, I think we'd all kind of dreamed of it happening ever since we were kids. I wanted to do music with my life, but you kind of half joke about it because you never really think that you'll get to. And when he came back, he was just like, you need to pray about moving to Oklahoma to start this band. And I kind of laughed at him, like, yeah, sure, I'll pray about that. And about a month and a half later, we actually packed our bags, and I was 19 years old. We moved to Oklahoma. We didn't have a place to live. Bart and I lived in a little camper trailer in Jim's parents' driveway. He got the bed inside. It wasn't very fair. But about 2 weeks after we moved there, we found this abandoned daycare center. It had been abandoned for about a year, and the owner was trying to sell it, and we got in touch with him and convinced him to let us live there. We'd pay rent and clean the place up.
I think the first time we recorded an album together, we were in an old daycare center in Oklahoma City. I'd never been around it or experienced it, and just going through the whole process, I was I think everybody but Jim knew what was going on. We were kind of clueless and kind of awestruck by the whole process, even though it was just a couple of digital ADATs, nothing big. But that was pretty cool to do your first one. Whether it sells or not, it's cool to make your first one.
I was in Oklahoma City doing an internship at a youth camp straight out of high school, and their first drummer, their drummer from their first project, was kind of my mentor at the time. And so after they had recorded in Oklahoma City, he's like, well, I got this great new band. You need to come check them out at a show sometime. And so I was more of a fan groupie, if you want to call it that, just kind of traveling around. Anywhere Trent was, I wanted to be. Plus, I liked MercyMe's music, so they liked his style, and I tried to mimic his style a lot to try and create my own style. And so I knew all the songs, knew all the fills, and it felt good. And that's how I joined the band, was in Oklahoma City. MercyMe's actually had 22 different drummers.
What's the deal?
They spontaneously combust.
Oh, you mean all the drummers? I thought you
spontaneously combust.
I just meant him. We had one drummer that we believed in. It was kind of like helped us kind of start the band, and he was married, and had like 15 kids or whatever at the time. It seemed like a lot. And he was he's older than us, but he was the most amazing studio player in Oklahoma City. So we like to brag that he was in the band. Well, he never traveled with us, didn't do anything with us, but 2 shows. We were so committed to him that we just kept putting in fill-ins, but saying, we really have a drummer, you're only filling in, even though he never played. And next thing you know, we go through how many?
21
drummers.
now.
22.
Come on, yeah.
What number were you at first time?
16. And
Robbie was 16 and then 21.
I was number 4.
Yeah, Jim
5.
played in Switzerland.
Camp, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick.
We actually would borrow Jim's parents' Taurus, because it had a trailer hitch on it, and tow a U-Haul, around. Did that for about a year. Then Jim actually got a little conversion van, traveled on that for probably 2 years, and then got our first bus.
We actually own 3 buses at the moment, but that is a completely different story that we don't have time for. So
we own our own bus company.
Yeah, MercyMe Incorporated. Yeah.
Charter.
We have a love-hate relationship with buses.
We love to hate them.
Yeah. We love them until we buy them, and then we ruin them, and we destroy them. We're like the Black Widow of buses. We take them and make them out to be just nasty. We could drop a value of a bus just like that.
the summer of '97, we bought a 1975 Silver Eagle bus.
But it's just a big black Eagle bus with nothing inside, just completely hollow.
It was just plywood walls and plywood floor, and we had the idea that we were going to convert it ourselves, as our tour bus.
We gave some money to a guy in California to get a generator, and he pretty much took our money and ran because we were morons and gave him the money first.
We got the bus and ended up getting carpet on one of the walls, and just bought some mattresses and laid them on the floor. It's kind of like a bowling alley with mattresses all the way up and down it.
We drove around in that for 3 years with no air conditioner for 2 of those.
So in the summer, if we were too hot, we'd flip the switch and the doors would pop open. That was our air conditioning.
So we bought a bigger bus that had beds and chairs and carpet, and it was still hot.
But we weren't happy with that bus, and so we gave more money and had them gut that one out so it looked like the first bus.
So it's
We wanted to feel like home.
So it's a piece of junk right now.
Now we have 2 buses with nothing in them.
So we're looking for. We just found a new bus that we thought needed our fingerprint on it.
Our special
So we got our
touch.
third one that we're gonna.
So if any of y'all watching have a bus you want to
That's right.
sell,
or
Or
just
tear up or gun.
never
gut it
know,
out.
might
We
be
gut out
interesting.
things well.
Engine runs good.
yeah,
We hate buses.
for sale, call us. We did our all own bus driving. We do the show. Be done pulling out of the venue at 10 o'clock, and we drive from 3-hour shifts. We drive from 10 to 1 or 1 to 4 or whatever. We did all our load in, load out, all the stuff that goes with it. Originally when we started it, I don't think we realized God was putting all the pieces in place at that time. And even when we started it, we originally were going to be wanted to be a concert band. And I think as worship was almost taken away from us, we realized then, oh wait, we feel this strongly about worship, and the whole ministry as a whole, it's just all a calling altogether. Not just the 5 of us individually, but the 5 of us as a group too.
Everything we desire to do with the music that MercyMe does is to worship God. We don't believe that there's any other purpose for it.
We write with what consumes us, we do our best to glorify God in everything we do.
5 guys that probably shouldn't work together for some reason, it would probably be us, but God saw fit to put us together.
But we're like night and day. Like several of us probably would never have been friends or hung out together.
MercyMe has become the overflow of 5 individual guys' lives.
We came from different denominational backgrounds, but have the same background as far as worship goes. Everything we do on stage affects the worship experience. It affects how people respond to what's taking place. If we're not in tune with what the Holy Spirit's wanting to do on that any given night, then it's going to show. The good thing is God still works in spite of us a lot of times.
We're a worship band, regardless where we go, where we end up, that's what we're good at, and I hope we realize that 10 years from now. People ask what we sound like, and I don't really know.
The music itself is kind of a pop rock with a little bit more flavor toward pop.
Kind of a pop rock.
Some of the songs are a little rocking, but
It's pop rock, I guess.
but I'd say more pop.
We're just a pop rock band.
It's hard to say.
It's definitely worship music. So it's,
Modern worship.
Worshipful.
you might say pop worship or worship pop or
I would say a camp worship band.
worship pop rock or rock worship pop or
If you figure out what we sound like, let me know. So we were just joking today about we don't want to do the best of, we want to do like the worst of MercyMe CD and put out all the junk we put out. And maybe have a cover with a bus on it would be nice. Yeah, thanks.
please.
I'm always thinking. I'm pretty creative that way.
Strong with Jesus.
People ask how long will MercyMe last, and I guess we'll be around as long as we're allowed to keep bearing fruit. Long before anybody else knew who we were, we've had this following for years that are really loyal to us, and we still want to be those same people that they fell in love with, and at the same time. It's funny, we were with a band not too long ago, and he made the comment on stage that, I don't nearly love you as much as God does. And he said, and I pray that you don't nearly love us as much as you love God. And I thought that was a great statement to make from the stage. And that's really, how we want to be also.
Use worship, but don't worship. It's not something that is to be the main, the Bible and the Word of God is your source. But worship is an avenue to get close to God.
If somehow we lose the focus of Christ being the reason all this has happened, and that we forget that this is to glorify Him, then we've kind of failed. And so I just like to thank our fans for sticking in there, and hopefully that their worship, their spiritual walk has been somehow a little more enriched by all this.